So the we watched Giant 3 weeks ago, and I told you that Giant had a vibrating chair that everyone sat on. And what Winslow did when he made that is, as a DJ and somebody who knows how to shake a rump in a seat, what we did is we took a audio file that was just the special effects of the piece and was playing it back in a separate piece of software. So when Unreal started, it triggered that other audio file to play back, and it was moving these things called bass transducers. It's kind of like a subwoofer without the speaker component kind of thing. It just shakes. People put it in their cars, and that's why they drive by you. They go, bah, bah, and you're like, that sounds like shit, dude. Yeah, they're using these. Right. What I have here are so these were $45. Right now they're not. I can't find them here on Amazon, and they definitely, they're more expensive than they should be. What I purchased for inexpensive was 2 of these Dayton Audio transducers, which are much smaller. I didn't get 16 ohm. I got 8 ohms. Just because I'm only doing 2 of them. If you want to do 4 of them, you get it for 16 ohms. And I can give you a link to this kind of stuff. That's not a problem. And put that in the Slack. So, and then how are these connected to the computer? Well, they're connected with a preamp. If I scroll in here, there's a preamp that will drive it. All right, so this is just sending out over a speaker wire to the right and left. Each speaker has a red and a black, right? So these are the cheapest ways. I mean, maybe they're too cheap, but it's enough for me to show you guys. You could definitely spend more money on this. In fact, there is a company called Butt Kicker that does just this, and these are like, look at this, $250. This is of a much larger scale, but this is the Amazon choice when it comes to screwing something into your seat and really giving it a go. I mean, these things are pretty cool. You can hook them up to your home audio, put them underneath your couch. I've had these, we've connected these to, obviously cars. So these things are really cool, and they're not about the producing audio as much as they are about just vibrating, right? So this is the earthquake. This is that kind of stuff, right? So with a preamp and some sort of audio connection, right? I'm using a headphone out and converting it to RCA. You're able to drive this with a preamp and have haptic feedback. There's companies that now specialize in this for VR, the main one being Subpack. And they make cushions and they make vests for music production, like this guy's playing drums and rocking himself, but they work real well in VR, and it's just one giant speaker, right? It'd be pretty cool, right, if you had a bunch of different ones and you can actually feel different sections vibrate at different time. That'd be kind of a cool like wearable kind of like vest to like mess around with. Different frequencies in different parts of the body and that kind of stuff. So this is they're either Bluetooth or they're over audio connection for these VR experiences. They could be pretty cool. And these are the seated ones. I might have shown you guys before the oh my god, what was it called? I showed you those egg-shaped chairs called, oh damn, I'm gonna forget about it now. Anyway, there's like these chairs with Subpack built into it, so that like not only are they moving you around inside of VR, but they're also shaking you as well. It's called, it'll come to me as soon as I stop thinking about it. It's called the Voyager VR Subpack. What was it called? The Voyager chair. This is the one where they did with the Mummy experience. And you can see these chairs are actually, you're programming them with a spreadsheet to move around and turn so that you're actually able to direct again in VR. And there are these egg-shaped things. My internet's a little slow, so that won't get in the way of today's demo. We're able to look at everyone's homework. All right, moving on. We'll look at the Voyager. Positron Voyager. These haptic feedback chairs. right? They're basically there, man.
1 minute and counting.
And they move around. And you get to program that so you can play it.
We've created the...
All right, anyway, moving on. So what we're doing is here I have set up on the table, for those of you following along at home, I have those two that I showed, a preamp, and two of these speakers right here. And what happens is if I play it back an audio file with some substantial bass, if you guys should be good right now. You ready? Okay. So this is actually vibrating this entire table for them. Right, you can screw this to the bottom of your chair. This is actually a stereo signal too, and it basically it's giving you this idea of movement and having feedback. All right, we're maxed out. We're maxed out both sides, and you really can't. You can hear it okay, but it's not about hearing it. It's about these are the least powerful ones you could possibly have, and back to being your seat, it's the only way to experience music is to really have your rump shaken with it, right? So super inexpensive, and it's something just can't hurt, right? And once you have it, once you listen to like Justin Bieber like this, you never listen to Justin Bieber the same way ever again, right? So while you guys are feeling that, I'm going to let you know. So sub-frequencies, though, are, frequencies are measured in hertz, and we're hearing some of the hi-hat, we're hearing some of the other stuff. If I want to compare this, and maybe my audio file has like some voiceover, I don't want to include the voiceover. I don't want somebody's voice being that. So what I want to do is I want to isolate the sub. And so maybe I don't want to, if I don't have like the source files that just do the special effects, you can also turn on the volume on the amplifier. And so up here, you can see like there's, not only you guys are used to the amplitude right here on the top of the green, but this red and yellow colored stuff, this is the frequency. The things at the top being the higher frequencies, the things at the bottom being lower frequencies. And everything in my sub I want to hit between 80 hertz, anything below that I couldn't hear anyway, and like 1,000 hertz. So you guys want to take your seats again. What we're going to do is we're going to prep this audio file and play it back in a different way. So as you guys can tell, that was actually a song, but I don't really care about the song itself. I just want to feel the bass, because I'd play the song on a different application, and then this one would be going on beside it. So I'm using Adobe Audition here, which I'm just going to literally use like a marquee tool and just ensnare all the things I don't want, and I'm going to delete them. And so now I've just isolated the sub-frequencies, and I'm not sending out the voiceover, I'm not sending out the snare, I'm not sending out the unneeded information. I can kind of zoom in a little bit, right? I could probably even get down to even less. Right here's 100, and I get rid of even more. So now when I play it back again, it's just if you guys turn it back up, it's just like the toms and it's just the bass, right? So this is how I'd prep a file if I didn't have the source stems for all the stuff. I'm just going to send out the sub, and if it's screwed in real tightly, you don't hear anything at all. It just vibrates. So if you push down really hard, you just feel the vibration. They do make some of them that are for store windows, and actually, if you're doing like like some sort of like storefront display, you can actually turn the front glass into speakers, so that you're like, oh, how do I put speakers on the outside? People in New York are going to steal those. You could turn the display case into speakers itself using things very similar to this, right? So it's a really quick little trick, little parlor trick that can add a lot of bang for your buck, right? That's a band called Tortoise from Chicago. Okay, so that's just that. We're going to move on now to a program called Max. Max is made by a company called Cycling 74 out of San Francisco. You can download it for free for 30-day trial. They have student licensing that's inexpensive. They just come out with Max 8. We're not really getting to a lot of the features that Max 8 has, but Max's kind of old slogan was connect anything. And for me, it's the easiest way for me to teach a lot of different things in one framework. Because it does video, audio, routing of so many different kinds of signal processing, and it's a way for me to stay in one piece of software and show you all of it at one time. All right, so I already have it downloaded and installed, and I'm going to show you the interface real quick. And Max is called Dataflow software. There's a lot of it. Max is named after the father of computer music, a guy named Max Matthews. It was made around 1990. And then the next component is called Max MSP. MSP stands for either like musical sound processing or Miller Smith Puckett, the gentleman who programmed it. And so it does audio stuff as well. And in the late 90s was able to do real-time audio, and it was like freaking out being able to do real-time concerts. And then around the year 2000, 2001, it started allowing for real-time video manipulation. And then there's a team that was put together by Cycling Steady 4 to make a thing called Jitter. So now we call it Max MSP Jitter, or just Max. And Jitter was the Jitter team was led by Luc Dubois, the director of IDM, to create the visual rendering component, OpenGL rendering component of this. So it's kind of the house software. So that's another reason why we like to use it around here. This is Max. We open it up, and we're going to say new patcher. You patch Max, right? And Max is a wonderful little blank slate. Okay, it has some all these little different things on the side, including what's my favorite. It's got like a maybe they got rid of it because I was making fun of them for. Oh yeah, I even have a calendar in case I need a calendar. I mean. What we're interested in here is these things at the top. Max does things, it toggles, it sends out event signals, what we're going to call bangs, and then it sends out some strings and floats and ints and all the data types you might have experienced in your creative coding. And I am going to show you a toggle, right? So this is a toggle, I drag it out. And then show of hands, who's done Max already? Like half of everyone? Higher, over 45 degrees, over 45 degrees. Okay, so 4. Okay, so toggles and bangs, and it has dials. So it has this whole interface for you for doing visual programming, right? Have little messages you can send, all that kind of stuff. And it has a little console here on the side, and I can hit N for new object or bring a new object down, and everything are just objects that have inlets and outlets, and you connect the outlet to an inlet. You just data flow. It works from top to bottom. Okay, and the first thing I'm going to do is print to my console. I'm going to print over here to my Max console, and you see that I'm printing a 1 and a 0, 1 and a 0. Right? A toggle is a binary thing. What does that do if I'm going to select this little patch cable? Reconnect it over, or I can just delete it. You're supposed to be able to like grab that and do that. There you go. What does a bang do? Sends out a bang. But bangs can also bang 1s and 0s, right? So these are just ways of triggering things. Dials have a default value that's very similar to MIDI probably. Let's see what the default is here. Outlet to inlet. So that's going from, just like MIDI, it's going from 0 to 127, right? And all this can be scaled. Okay? Great. So Max is great at audio, right? Oh, we also need to have sliders. So we have a slider here as well. And if I change the orientation of it, it's now a horizontal slider, right? So buttons, toggles, and sliders. That's what's important. That's our interface. That's how we're going to be driving data today. Okay? So first of all, let's look at audio. If I want to convert my analog voice into a digital thing, I'm going to look for an analog to digital converter. And that is a typing new for the new object, analog to digital converter. Oops. Let's do the actual analog digital converter. And we see it says ADC. I know there's another object called EZADC, which gives me a graphical interface. This is a what? Microphone, right? This is my voice. I'm turning it off and on. And what is the audio giving us? I'm going to do a new object. This is the only one that I have to memorize that it's just what it is. I'm looking at the peak amplitude. It's called peak amp. And they see that tilde at the end. That means it's an MSP. It means it's an audio object. Jitter objects will be called jit.stuff. We're not going to do jitter in this class because we're using Unreal to render. So I'm going to be pulling for data every 33 seconds, and then what do we get from here? We're going to get some numbers. New print. So now I'm having numbers, and those numbers are kind of between 0 and 0.3. I'm not quite sure, but if I use my slider, I might be able to see a little better. Slider. Can you not do both at one time? What's my slider doing? Let's look at the slider. It's not doing what I want. Let's do new. We're going to put in a new object called a multi-slider that's between -1 and 1. And there we go. You see how I'm driving that little bar up and down, right? You can kind of connect everything. Video becomes audio, becomes video, becomes audio, right? And now this isn't letting me see data over a period of time. I'm going to look at the inspector, right? This little eye, this little details panel. And if I scroll down the bottom, I see that the range is from -1 to 1. I know that I'm never going below 1, so let me go from we'll go from 0 to 1. Good. So now start to the bottom. And instead of being a thin line, let's make it a line scroll. So now I'm actually looking at my audio happening, okay? So I see that I'm not really getting that high, so I could probably go to change the scale of this object to like 0.5 is the highest, but I also have an object called scale, and it has an input and an output, right? So my input is what the actual data values are, which would be 0 to 1, and then let's just keep it, and we're going to map it to 0 to 0.5. Can I do this yet? I thought I might be able to put it in between them. It would squeeze in. It's a new feature, will happen soon. So now we see that it should be scaled a little bit more. And I was telling you about all those inlets and outlets. If I hover over them, they tell me things. This is my low input value. This is my high input value. That's the 0 to 0.5 I'm getting there. And then I'm kind of, oh, I scaled it down is what I did. I want to actually, I want it ultimately to end up being 0 to 0.1, but I know that my values are from 0 to 0.5. So now I've scaled it so that it has more meaning, it has more values, right? And what's cool about using Max to be my in-between when I'm debugging all this like Arduino stuff and audio reactive stuff is that Max doesn't have to be compiled. So Unreal has to stop and start again, but Max can keep on going, and I don't have to stop my rendering. So let's say my scaling isn't what I want it to be. I can bring down a number, and I want my number to be a floating point number with a decimal point. And if I put that into my input scale, my high, I can, in real time, scale these values so they go down or they go up. Right? So I can massage data, I can finesse data in real time without having to compile. So now we're going to get into a little bit of VJing real quick. So, all right, real quick. We need a smoothing function, and it's called slide, and it has this, how quickly the onset is and how much it trails off. I want it to be instantaneous, so 1 millisecond, and I want it to have a little bit of a trail off for 20 milliseconds. Let's put that over here. And so now you see my values are much more smooth. That's kind of how you VJ. You want it to be like immediately so you know there's no latency, but then you want it to trail off so you can actually watch the visuals. Immediate, go off. That's just kind of how it does it, okay? So Max has a way of like bypassing using these cables. Like you can imagine they get really, really crazy, right? So you can actually just do a send and receive. It's like a portal where it sends numbers somewhere else. And it's called like send. And I just have to give it a name so it knows how to receive it on it, because you have multiple of these, right? So I'm going to send and just give it a name of Bob. All right, Bob's going to receive these values. And then if I receive these values, I just need to call it Bob, and it'll know where to get it from. Where's my print? It's over there. and now we see that Bob is receiving from sending. If I kind of double click on it, you can see that, hey, where am I getting it from? Okay, there's the receive, where's the send? Oh, it takes me there, so I know where it's coming from. All right, so this is happening in the software. But I want to do this with networking. I want to be able to go on my local computer, my local host, to another piece of software, like Unreal. Okay, I wanted my audio reactivity to maybe drive the emissive channel of a material, right, and make it audio reactive. So that's a thing called Open Sound Control, which is kind of made for Macs, and it's a way of it's a low latency packet URL way of sending information. A URL meaning that you can send things on channels. I can send a whole bunch of stuff on one IP, but I could put things on sub channels, like this is called audio, and you can parse it out by just saying it's /audio. So I'm going to prepend a channel and call it audio. And then if I was in Unreal, I would be looking at parsing all the information from that channel. Right? You can see how you can like have very complicated things, and now it's sending out audio, little / first, out print. Okay? And I want to send this. So as I said, there is OSC is a framework for UDP. So I'm going to say send UDP. Or UDP-Send. There you go. And I have to have an IP address, which is localhost. If anyone also knows, localhost is known as 127.0.0.1. We'll just say localhost for right now. Send it to myself. And then I just need to choose a port. Creative coding is usually around 6,000 to 9,000. If you look at your UDP messaging on your computer, like all the software licensing, it goes crazy. Everything is sending. There's so much UDP being sent for your computer, and usually we reserve for creative coding between 600 and 6,000 and 9,000. Unreal's default is 8,000. So if I send, I should also be able to receive. Does anyone have Macs installed on their computer right now? Anyone? You ready to go? You want to play with me? Okay. Open up Macs. I'll continue to do other things, but go ahead and open up Macs and connect to the router in that room. Ignore me, and I'll help you out. Okay. Just let me know when you're ready to go. You want to open up Macs? Okay. And open up 8,000. So right now, this doesn't prove anything to you, right? This is exactly what send and receive was doing, right? But if we can send it to the computer, that would prove to you that it's a network protocol, right? So can you join the ignore me router? Right here. So that's my router in the room. Cool. Well, it's not English. Sorry. I'll show you two from my phone. How about that? So, let's connect my phone real quick. We'll actually connect Unreal first. How about that? So we're sending audio. Let's go ahead and send it to Unreal. So what I've done in here is I've created a plugin for every single Unreal version for Windows and Mac from 4.19 to 4.21. Cool. And you can download them. You can put it in your project. I'll show you how to install that right now. So for this class, I am in, I think, 420. I'll check real quick. Yep, 420. So I'm going to create a new folder called Plugins. This is what you guys would do if you want to use OSC. Plugins. And inside of Plugins, I'm going to put 420. which are being real slow. So I know it's on my computer already. So all right, and there's the OSC plugin. Cool. And when I come back to my project, it should open up and be already plugged in. We'll check that. Is it? All right, so it wants me to rebuild it again. That's fine. I just said yes. Yes.
So I just need to connect to the local audio platform here, and the tech forward, I can
So if I were to come back here and say, let's make a new patch real quick and say new UDP receive on 8000. And you have Macs installed on your computer? So let me just do like a sine wave or something like that. Oops. Let's take this. Do you know how to paste from a copy compress? Let me show you something real quick. Okay, new route audio. So if I were to turn this on, you can't hear because I am going out to my subwoofers. Let me send this to you, okay? We're doing a little experimentation. Just while it's loading. So I'm going to say copy compressed, and then if I send to you on this week this thing, take this, copy it, and then go to File and say New from Clipboard. All right? Let me know when you get that going. Okay, and so you should have this now. All right, so connect to the Wi-Fi Ignore Me. Right, and the password is unicycle 320. Right, and there it is. Copy paste. Okay. So now what I want you to do is, can you tell me your IP address?
My local IP is
Mm-hmm. 192.168.1.37. All right. right, turn up your volume, and you should be getting some low values. Okay.
Let's take a look real quick.
Good evening, Shady Group.
Alright, so let's.
Directly into Slack.
So let's. All right, that's my voice sending over to him, and he's getting the amplitude from me, right? So this is a network protocol, and it has a low latency network protocol that we're going to send data onto. Okay, so that was all. I have a little robot with me. So plugins, OSC is enabled. If that's not checked, check it off at the restart the browser. And now let's make a new asset. What world am I in? The car world. That's fine. We could be in the car world. So we're going to have a blueprint, and we're going to call it BP Floating Platform. And now with the plugin, I have a new component called OSC Receiver. And I want to receive that on an event. So this is the events I have. I can also right click and say, here's the event for OSC received. If I come over to my event graph, I now have a new little event node, right? It's sending out bangs on an address, and it has data. So we know what the address is. The address is actually, let's go to project settings. OSC is sending it on, or receiving it on 8,000, which we already did by default, right? So I'm just doing localhost on 8,000. And then the address we made was called audio, /audio. Right, so we could bundle everything in different channels to keep it all separate. Okay? And it says that equals, if it equals audio, then we use our if statement, which is a branch. Cool. And then the data is a float. We do a thing called popping and pushing. So we're going to pop off a float. It's kind of like taking off a hat. And this the green thing is called a float. And we're going to take a component. We're going to take a cube. That's fine. We'll make it maybe a little wider. So like 50, or I'm going to do 5. 5 times 5. There we go. And what I want to do is I want to take this cube, or take the actor, and I want to set actor location. 0, 0 is fine for my X and Y, but my Z, which is up and down, I want it to be whatever I'm sending for my audio. Cool? So here's OSC. I have a channel, I'm having float values, and I'm setting the actor itself up and down. If I bring the actor in here now, there it is. It's going to go back to wherever 0, 0 is. Let's just put it at 0, 0 right now. 0, 0, 0. Where is that? It's right here. And we need to make sure that it's set to movable. It is. And if I hit play, we should see an audio reactive platform. Let's debug. Are you getting data? No, because I'm sending it over to the other computer. But while I'm rendering here, I can manipulate Max any way I want to, right? I don't have to recompile Unreal. So I go localhost. With a J in the middle? No, I don't think so. That's crazy. UDP UDP-Send localhost port 8000. Cool, so now it's sending the data out there. Let's not receive it. And now let's see, let's just make sure, fresh connection. Okay, so do we have the platform going up and down? No, let's debug. Sending it on localhost 8000. Are receiving it? We are receiving it. That's great. Cool. Let's go and look at my scale real quick and max. It's just going between like nothing and nothing. So let's make it in real time. Be like, I want it to actually be hundreds. So why? That's fine. We'll figure it out. You just maybe not go as far as I wanted to. Let's just set the component real quick instead of the actor. Let's hit the cube and set world location. Split. And do it this way. Mysterious. Move the car out of the way. None of that should matter though. Let's try with a light real quick. If we have a point light, instead of this, we're going to set the intensity. Let's try that real quick. There should be a point light there. Let's bring it up so we can see it. And let's make it a crazy color just so it's easier to see. And attenuation radius as big as possible. And let's try again. Alright. Are we getting values? It says it's getting from, there we go, so it is getting values. So let's go to max real quick. And let's just hard code it in. From 0 to 0.5, from 0 to 1,000, 10,000. Okay? And let's go straight to prepend audio and not worry about the two sends and receives. Okay, now what's going on? Over here, it says I'm getting crazy values, and over here, we see that I have audio. Okay, so something I was doing wrong with the set world location, but we could see now that if I want to override this 10,000 and make it like 1,000,000, we got it going on in real time. Boo! There you go. Okay, so audio reactivity. I'll figure out why the floating platform wasn't working some other time. Default scene, movable, bizarro. All this stuff doesn't work. Okay, so now we're seeing that we're sending data to Unreal, but I can also send data from Unreal back to the Max, right? So let's do that real quick. We're going to look at the project settings, and I see that my send target is also localhost, like I said, 127.0.0.1. And I want to send it on a different port just so that I'm not having any conflicts there. So we're sending on an 8001. And then what I want to do is basically make a new trigger box blueprint. So BP trigger box. And in that is a box component, box collision, that we can make a little bigger. And I also want to make it so that it is not hidden in game, so I can see it and I can hit it. I can even maybe like add in like a sphere on top of it so I can see it even better. Here, it's under here. There you go. And what I want to happen is when I overlap with that box, I want to send OSC. The index is 0. Let's look over here. This index is 0, so I'm going to send it on that port when I send it on to that one. You can send it to a bunch of different computers at once, and I'm going to send it back on a new address called trigger. Cool. And what I want to do is, instead of popping it, I want to push, and I want to push like either an int or a bool. Like I want a 0 and a 1. So if I begin overlap, I want you to send a 1, and in the same way, if I end overlap, I want you to send a 0. Let's not going to do it that way. Let's do it this way. Cool. So max, I'm going to say new UDP receive, and it's going to be on port 8001. I have a toggle. Well, I'm going to. It's underneath the address /trigger. So I'm going to route out trigger because I don't need that. I just want the numbers, and it will magically turn this on. Okay. I can also print it out, just in case it's not the data type I thought it was. Clear this out. All right. So let's come over here and save this and throw it into the world. So if I fly around to this box, it should send Let's find out. Let's watch it. Cool. It's definitely sending and receiving. So let's send it over. Let's bring over Max. Look at that. Off, on, off, on. See that in the bottom right corner? Where'd it go? No Max. Cool. So this could be something I do if I want to start an audio file, right? That like, oh, it shakes me because I just hit like a rock or something like that, right? It can start audio file, but it can also do some other things. What I have here, which I wonder if I'll have a chance to set up in the amount of time we have left, is, has anyone ever used a power switch tail before? Anyone? A power switch tail? So a power switch tail is a relay, and it goes in between some sort of electronic device and its source of power. So it's plugged into this outlet right here, the same one that I'm plugged into, everyone's plugged into, but this power switch tail is being driven by an Arduino. Right, I've already plugged it in, and that Arduino is going to be on my computer. All right. This fan is turned on, but it's not working. This power switch tail is in the way of the electronic signal. Let me pull this up real quick. Power switch tail. This one's a power switch tail too. You can buy them in two different ways. You can have them so they start off with the circuit closed, which means it's on, right? The circuit's closed and everything can connect. Or you can buy it so it's always open, which means it's off. I like to have them off first, and then only when I send it a value will it close the circuit and turn something on. That way, if something breaks, it's off by default. Otherwise, it'll always be on by default, and you want to change the state. Okay? So for $25, you can connect Unreal to like your toaster. Right? That's the goal. Here's this. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to actually first connect Max to my Arduino. All right? So I need to first of all find code for power switch tail. And I know that we're jumping between a lot of software in only 45 minutes. So I don't want to deal with it. I'm just going to find something for power switch tail. I'm going to say power switch tail. And let's just say Arduino. Let's see if we can find something. And serial and processing or something like that. Oh, I found one earlier today. Oh yeah, let's just do this one. So I'm just going to take this code from this Space Brew, which is an old thing before Socket.io was around, and I'm going to take this code, and basically it tells me how to wire it. There's 3 terminals right here. You have power, ground, and then data, which is in the center, and then power, ground, and you have data, which goes to the 5-volt ground and then to the analog 0 pin, right? Everything's wired before I got here, and I'm just going to take the Arduino code and copy it and paste it without even worrying about it. Alright, so let's do Arduino. New. Let's copy and paste. And let's make sure I have the right port. I only have one port, so it's going to be COM4. And let's upload it. You want me to save it first? Sure. Oh, fine. I might not have copied and pasted it. Let's do it again. Okay, a bunch of geniuses. Just trying to show how easy it is to copy and paste too. But if you want to debug and write from scratch, please do. This is a lot to cover, so you know. All right, so it's uploading. It looks like it's good, ready to go. If you were looking at the Arduino somewhere, wherever it is, it would probably have the little thing would flash, right? We have a connection. So how do we get Arduino to talk to Max? My favorite little embedded hidden thing is from another of our co-directors here at IDM, Scott Fitzgerald. If you want to say hi to Scott, go to Examples, go to Communication, go to Dimmer, go to the bottom, and this thing you might have seen me send over to Wolf, there's something here, and it's a secret message from Scott Fitzgerald for us. We're going to say paste from clipboard. New from clipboard, sorry. And there we go, from Tom Igo and Scott Fitzgerald right here. Here's how you do serial communication in Max. Let's get rid of all this crap though. I'm not sending analog, I just want to send an off and on to my power switch tail. Okay? Serial, the letters correspond to numbers of ports. So like serial A is port A. I know that my port is B, so it'd be serial D. Right? I can print, and it says, yes, it's port D, COM4. So let's just change this to port D, and I'm done with everything. Like, this is my device that's sending serial, and I just want to turn off and on this fan with a toggle. And might as well just do it over here. Toggle. No. You go away. And you go here. That's simple. We've turned off and on an electrical device. Now the fan's blowing. Okay? And now the fan's off. So, let's go over to Unreal. In my experience, if I want to be, am I still rendering? No, I'm not. Okay, that would be too much. So, in my experience, if I'm, I want to approach a cliff or something like that, and I want there to be wind when I get to the edge, just wander, 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 and there's the wind in my face. The lights can go on, SIP machines can turn off and on. This is just sending out values from one thing to another without any loss of latency. So that's the light, there's the trigger. Cool. So, what can I add on top of this in the last 5 minutes? I'm going to add my phone to this, just for fun. Alright, so let me turn off Tinder real quick, and then... Alright. So I'm going to use a thing called AirServer, so you guys can see my phone. Let's not worry about that right now. Yeah, let's not worry about that right now. I just did this. Oh, I was doing this in the other room. I haven't. Okay. Okay. Let's try this one more time. It's not as much fun if you can't see what I'm doing. Let's do this one. Maybe it's already running. It was already running. So it's going to send me a QR code. I'm going to open up AirServer on my phone. There we go. So now I have my phone. Okay. There's this piece of software called TouchOSC, and it's like $6 on App Store. It's Android and iOS. Totally worth it. It blows away everyone. It's totally the Hogwarts of this class. It's like magic. And it has a little editor interface, which I have right here. And this is the easiest iOS app you ever made. Right? What do we have? Well, we know we have toggles, and we know we have buttons, and we know we have sliders. They're called faders here. And each one has an OSC channel. So this can be toggle, and this one can be push, and this one can be fader. Keep it real simple. Alright, give this a save. Save it, desktop or whatever. We'll call this one Worlds on a Wire 2019. Save it. And now on my phone, shrink. I have my phone connected via USB. I'm going to say sync it. And there are at least like 12 other colors you can use. It's very, very wonderful palette. But I am going to, this one from today, I'm going to go to a new layout, add a new layout, add it from my computer, which I call Powerhouse. And now I have a thing called Worlds on a Wire. Oh, did I call it 2017? No, it says 19. Oh, there it is. boom. And here's the interface I just made. Right? The quickest iOS app you ever made. Let's go back to our ports. And I want to send it on, I'm sitting on port 8007. Cool. So I just need to receive it on 8007. Right? And then I need to target my host computer. Right? So this one. So cmd IP config. And I am a 192.1.68.1.13. Cool. Cool. Done. Let's go over to Max and set up a new UDP, a new UDP receive on 8007. And let's print it out. Oh, I'm getting my accelerometer data by default. That was a setting. I could say send or don't send accelerometer data. And this is cool. You can use this with like a little bit of gesture recognition. You can like turn these into different states. Right? So that's pretty cool. But what I want to do was, that might be get a little in the way. Let's take away accelerometer data and let's just send out our buttons. So, right, toggle 1, toggle off, push, and slider. So let's toggle. Let's route off channel toggle. Let's try it out. So, like all installations I've ever made, I always control from my phone, so you don't have to go over to the computer ever. I have every single thing I ever have to do to debug is on my phone, so that I can talk to people and I don't have to sit around behind a computer. Yeah.
So do you have to still have it connected to the wire?
No. That was just to upload the sketch.
Oh, okay.
Right? So this slider could also be controlling a value that could be this platform that wouldn't move for some strange reason, but also could be that light that was shining or whatever. So these are just like abstractions of ways to know that like you can connect anything to Unreal, and Unreal can connect to anything that you have, and we just have to figure out how to do it. But I just wanted to show you this before you kind of brainstormed to think about what kind of fun play you can have and how compelling that is. You know, there's nothing better than having some sort of physical component that matches to that that virtual component that's inside the experience. And all this stuff I was able to do in like 30 minutes, right? Just from copying and pasting, and having 5 years of experience doing it. So anyway, I mean, I know that's a lot. And I know that if I said there any question, be like, "What did you just do?" But it's there. We recorded it, and it's more of a proof of concept that it can be done, which is a little bit of work, and it could be very complex, and you can really brainstorm it a lot of ways. Like this could be driving LEDs and all this other kind of stuff, and you can really have a lot of fun with this kind of crap. With just like everything I bought today was less than $100 total. You know, before I used to use a huge fan. It was really, really fun. And I got this at Target. So that's it for today. But you know, have fun with this, and